Hey guys, this is Drew with Every Arkansan. We've got a special podcast for you. We brought him in especially from Germany just to show you what it means to serve Arkansas children. Marius Mauthe, great friend of mine. He's going to be a great friend of yours. Marius, welcome to the Every Arkansan podcast, episode number 2. You are our second guest. You could have been first, but
I'll take silver. That's fine.
you'll take silver.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least I'm still on the podium. Top
You're
3.
still on the podium. That's a
all
good way of looking at it as a German.
That's we're still around. Let's just say
Still
that.
around. So, everyone should know by now, because I just said it, that you're German. So, how in the world did you get to Arkansas?
You know, every German grows up wanting to live in Arkansas. That's a life dream.
Okay.
No, I grew up in Germany all my life. Lived there for my first 18 years. Was on the German track to do the education, become an engineer. Had my one brother, 2 parents. Very German family, very German trajectory there. But then after my graduate high school, I decided to do a little gap year and experience some different cultures. Traveled a little bit, ended up in New York to do an internship there with the ministry, and just kind of found myself getting stuck there for a while, and ending up meeting my wife there, who was from Arkansas, and then somehow running into Drew down the road somehow, and coming down here to Arkansas. So here I am somehow.
So, with that, one of the stories I love is during that gap, or not during that gap year, but during kind of that transition before you got married and all, you decided to take a tour across America.
I did, yeah.
And like every American, you hopped in the car and went.
Yeah, it's not like that. Actually, I feel like it's still one of the worst is forbidden here. It's called a hostel. When I told people I was going to backpack and hostel through America, they were all like, "What are you doing? That's crazy." But I was traveling through bus, Greyhound bus, and slept in stations. Kansas City Greyhound station was a bad night for me. But yeah, I was able to go from New York to San Francisco in a month and experience all different American cities and cultures and people. So it was fun.
You met your wife, and both of you came down here. So what is it you do?
Over here, I help with the DC Kids programming at the Dream Center right now. What we're doing, we have after-school programs. We have our mobile truck now that goes out into communities. And I just kind of make sure that and help out wherever I can to make sure things run smooth, that we have the staff in place that's going to love on the kids and help them out, encourage them. I make sure that, all the things are taken care of so they can do the ministry that they're called to do. And, it's just been a blessing to be part of seeing the Dream Center being able to reach out to more kids and to take on more relationships and more communities to help them out.
So how did you go from engineering track, German track, only one brother track to I'm going to work with kids?
Yeah.
And I'm not just going to work with any kids. I'm going to work with the kids that have very little structure in their lives.
Yeah.
So Mr. Detailed engineering structured German to a little bit chaotic at times.
Yeah. I think for me, my kind of turning point where I really kind of leaned into what God had for me was after 4 months in New York, I was about to go back home and, like you said, go back on my engineering track and do what I had planned for my life. And in that time, it was my last week doing programming in the Bronx, and it was that week when our leaders told us to say goodbye to our kids because we were going to go back to our lives, and they were going to stay where they were. And as I was saying goodbye to the kids, I kind of realized that I had the privilege of choosing to leave, but they couldn't. They're going to stay there. They're going to stay in their same environments. They're going to stay in their, maybe some vicious cycles that they're in. But I was able to go back and be privileged and go back to school and have everything that I needed. And I think that's when I realized that I was blessed with such an awesome family, with supportive group, with circumstances that helped me to become whatever I wanted to be. And a lot of these kids don't have that here. So I was really deciding there to be full into what God has planned for me. And that meant to stay there a little longer and be maybe an example for some of the kids of what they could have. And, a lot of kids don't have a supportive environment around them, and I want to be there for them. So.
Awesome. Now, that first ministry, you say New York, but you were
in Brooklyn and the Bronx and Queens, and
It was Manhattan Times Square.
it wasn't Manhattan Times Square. What were you doing? Explain kind of,
Yeah.
because you weren't like in a safe little building.
No, it was awesome. We loved it. So first, we obviously lived with the people in wherever they were living at, and then every day we would take old trucks out with stages on it, and we would go into all the 5 boroughs of New York, and we put the stage down, and we'd make a fun program for the kids. So it'll be like an hour of life-giving fun for the kids, where they might just used to the same old block, the same old things going on, and we would come and bring life. We would tell them about Jesus. We would have fun with them. We would play games. We'd sing songs, and we would interact with them and build relationship with them. And then through that, we were able to really change blocks in New York City. Whole blocks were changed through the ministry I was part of. It was a huge blessing. And but yeah, it wasn't all fun. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of cold nights, a lot of warm nights, but it was very worth it.
So not only you were on the streets, but you were also in their homes.
Yes. So we would make once a week. We would make visits to their homes, and we would literally knock on doors and say, "Hey, this is who we are. Would you want to join us and come down, hang out with us?" But also the ones that we knew, we were deepening their relationships. So we would have people come with us to pass out flyers. We would build relationship with kids, take them out to get something from the store, and just really be in their community and be part of their lives.
Now, I imagine you have some crazy stories. What's the craziest thing? If you're sitting there talking about Jesus and singing about Jesus on the corner, what's the craziest thing that happened to you just sitting there talking about Jesus, and you look out of the corner of your eye and lo and behold?
Well, one time we were in our program and we were in the middle of, I think, doing a lesson, and the police was doing some kind of bust right across from us, and they dragged the guy right behind our tarps, behind everybody else, just looking at the lesson, and put him in the police car and shipped him off. So it was kind of distracting, but it's crazy. The kids are almost used to that, so they were able to refocus pretty fast and go back to normal life. So, yeah.
And you got married, and your wife was from Arkansas and
Yep.
got sucked back into the Arkansas thing,
Yeah.
or thing as we call it. And now you're leading up this DC Kids program, and so it's after school summer programs.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about what's going on there.
Yeah. First of all, I had to learn to say a lot of y'alls to relate to the people down here. So I'm still working on that. I'm trying to fine tune my southern slang a little bit. But what we do, I think, in this kind of the picture that I have, what we do is it's kind of like in a boxing fight where 2 boxers go at each other, and then the round's over, and then you kind of retreat to your corner, and then the guys around you from the outside just encourage you to go back. And I think what we do at the essential thing that we do is we just want to be in these kids' lives' corner. And when they get beat up by life, sometimes things that they can't influence, things that they can influence, sometimes we make not the best choices. We want to be in their corner and say, go back out there, you can do it. Don't give up yet. Go back out there, and just keep throwing the punches and do the right thing and chase after your dream. And I think whatever we do, we always do it to build a relationship with kids and families so we can cheerlead them on to do better and to be in their corner when things get hard, when things get tough. We want to be with them and encourage them through it.
Now, does it stop with just them showing up at the program, or is there more?
No, there's definitely more. I mean, through the few years that I got to be here, over time these relationships get so deep that we're invited to homes, we're invited to funerals, we become part of their lives. But it's not just they come to the program and we walk away from that. It's we're there for them every second. If problems come around, they call us. If they run out of money to pay for groceries, we're a call that they can make to know if I call in Dream Center, they'll be there to help me out. So it's definitely beyond just the program. It's all about the relationship with the kids and the families.
Well, and also the schools.
Yeah, yes. We get the privilege of going to some schools and kind of check on the kids. A lot of the kids, the parents, they may be busy, they're working hard, they're trying to provide for their families. They maybe can't check into their kids all the time. We get to be in schools every Thursday mornings. We go to schools. We're actually in about 4 schools right now, and we check on our kids. And they love seeing us there, but also we get to talk to the teachers and be on the same page with them. We can have a communication with the parent, with the teacher, and us, and that covers a lot where the kids are all the time. So we want to be consistent with that. But, we love to partner with the schools and encourage the teachers as well, because a lot of times teachers right now, they have a hard time maybe teaching what they want to teach. The schools are full. So we want to encourage them as well and tell them, like, hey, we're on your side too. So it's kind of making that network of the village that takes care of a kid. That's kind of what we want to be part of, and we want to get everybody involved. If there's a coach that we can interact with and help them out, or they can help us out, we want to be partnering with people to make sure these kids can chase what they want to chase.
Well, and with that, I mean, you've kind of told me stories before of you actually will walk in and just kind of peek in, check in with the teacher, and it's all of a sudden the teacher's going to yank you out in the hall with a kid.
Yeah. So that's definitely happened several times where we would walk in situations where the teacher might be on their last nerve with the kid because they can be kind of annoying sometimes. But we walk in and they're like, take a kid outside and talk some sense to that person. And we almost get to like, it's one school specifically, we're getting called into meetings with the principal and the teacher and the kid. And, we become that parental role to a certain degree on where we can help the parents out a little more and have some authority with their kids.
So bridging that gap between parent and school,
Yes.
and all of these things.
Absolutely.
Almost becoming that uncle that's there, that aunt that's there, just encouraging and coaching along as they go.
Absolutely.
So I mean, what are some of the things that when people think about working with an inner city kid or whatever, there's lots of stereotypes or whatever. What's something that you would say to someone that kind of says, oh, I don't know that I could work with those kids or that kid or whatever, because they've heard the rumors.
I think with that, I would just encourage them to come by for a second. I think if you just come in and visit for once, I think they would realize that these kids are just kids. They just have to grow up a whole lot faster than other kids. But when they come to the Dream Center, we want to make sure that they be able to kids. So if you think you can't hang out with some of those kids, I would tell you, just come down and you'll be surprised how much a football tossing is going to do, or playing a little basketball, or just sitting down coloring a page. And those kids are gonna come right away and interact with you. So I would encourage them to come by and hang out with us, and I think they'll change their mind on it a lot.
Now you said grow up faster than a lot of kids. Explain that a little more.
For me growing up, like I already mentioned, I had a kind of I don't want to say picture perfect. We weren't perfect, but I had my family. They were there to support me. They were on my side, and I know if I would mess up, I would get in trouble. But I also know that my parents would still love me and be a part of it, and they would kind of shelter me from a lot of the things that these kids don't get sheltered by. So some of these kids have to step in to be that parental role already. Mom is working hard to provide for the family. 3 other siblings are behind them. They got to make sure that they are in line. So some of these kids become parents very early, and they got to make sure that the other siblings behave and everybody's taken care of. So I just think some circumstances forces them to do some things earlier than they need to be. So helping out the parent, some need to provide money and help pitch in for rent. It's just a lot of things that I personally did never experience, but I've heard through stories from our kids that sometimes it's just time to be a little more mature already, even though they're just kids and going to elementary school.
I think it's just also interesting is just some of the things these kids have seen and experienced are things that I never even thought of when I was 10 years old or 12 years old. I never ever imagined mom or dad being in prison. Never imagined seeing a neighbor gunned down or having gunshots at your house or any of these things. I mean, what do you how in the world do you talk to a kid as they're kind of releasing this information that you can't even relate to?
Yeah, I think for me or for all of us here, I think, we might not have been through it. We might have a few people on staff that can relate better in certain situations, but we definitely want to tell them that this is a safe place for them to tell us what's going on. And, we want to bring Jesus in as much as we can in those situations and just refer them back to that. But just listening to them and just letting them talk and letting them know there's a safe place to talk. And a lot of things that we hear, we got to take to Jesus and pray about, and need to find out with maybe more experienced people of how to handle the situations. But I think the general thing is just tell them that you're there for them, that you're not going to change. Nothing is what they're going to tell you is going to change our view of them or of the kids, and just encourage them through it to do the right choices.
One of the other big things that you guys do is around food.
Yeah.
So tell me from your perspective, I mean, what's food got to do with it?
Yeah. I mean, food plays a huge role in it. A lot of our kids rely on school lunches or those kind of things that are offered, and especially in the summertime, they don't have that. So we want to make sure that we meet a physical need first, and then after that builds relationship. For me, one of my memories that I grew up with is definitely my family's Sunday night family night. We would eat, we would talk about the calendar, we would play games. But sitting down at the dinner table as a family was always a big thing. And a lot of these kids never experienced that. So we make sure that if we have the kids in our facility, we sit down with them, dinner style, everybody's sitting down, we'll talk, we'll have a good time, we'll eat. We always want to have seconds so the kids can get full if they want more. If they, want to eat more, they can definitely have more. But we definitely want to always feed the kids and make sure that they have their physical need met, so that way we can then talk about their spiritual needs as we develop our relationship with them. But food's definitely a big thing, especially for me personally. I love food, so food's always the way to the heart. So we'll start with food, and then we'll go from there.
Now, when you kind of started with the Dream Center, you were in a classroom.
Yeah.
You were the boys' coach. Now you're kind of leading all of the programming for it. Tell me what's one of the craziest things you experienced just working with the boys?
Oh, the boys, man. It's one of the things. Definitely, it always smells bad in the room. So if you have 20, 25 little kids, boys running around in a room wrestling, it gets very smelly. But we were able to, and we actually have this coming up soon, our spring break trip. I think that's one of my funnest memories in the past, where we took some of these boys that were around every time. We took them out of their environment and we brought them to somewhere completely different. We exposed them to something amazing and something awesome. And some of the kids never left Arkansas, never left Little Rock or their little perimeter where they're in. So just seeing them being exposed to something amazing and out there, I think really changed their minds of, man, I can do something great too. If I can chase after my God-given dream, I can become something that's bigger than just maybe where I'm at right now or my circumstances right now. So just seeing them right now in middle school and doing good, and just seeing them is I think that's the craziest thing, to see young kids, young boys, young men doing great and chasing after what God's given them.
Awesome. And then you've launched the mobile program here, similar to what you guys did in New York. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, DC Mobile is definitely one of our favorite things right now that we just got to start here recently. And what the system is pretty much, instead of having the kids come to us into our facility, we take the program to them. So this allows us to reach about 8 different communities right now. Every week we're in 8 different communities, feeding kids, doing a fun program with games, giving them some light, giving them some fun things to do in the afternoon, but also telling them about Jesus, telling them about how God loves them. And we just seen tremendous change already in some of these communities, where we got to partner up with the families, partner up with the moms and dads, and tell them, hey, we're going to be here every Tuesday at this time. We're going to be here for you. We're going to have food. We're going to have fun. And we had one of our fun outreaches during Christmas time. We were able to give every single kid that comes a Christmas present, a wrapped Christmas present that they might never had a chance to get one. We gave them a wrapped Christmas presents for their Christmas. And I think that showed value for our families, that they're like, man, these guys really care for us. They want to help us, not just with our needs, but also with some of the wants that we have. So it's just going to be not just feeding them and leaving, but building a relationship like, oh, you not have a Christmas present? Here's a Christmas present. Merry Christmas. Jesus loves you. So kind of seeing that picking up, and we definitely want to reach more communities down the road. We have plenty of more communities that we want to reach out, but we're taking it one step at a time. But it's been a lot of fun to see that kind of grow and develop in whatever it can be down the road. So we're excited for it.
I think bringing this back around, I loved how you said, just try it.
Yeah.
So much of the time, I could never do that.
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, knowing you and how fun, energetic, and playful you are, that's not an engineer.
It would be a fun engineer. It would be a fun engineer.
An engineer of fun.
Yeah.
You build playgrounds.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to that, and just really where the rubber meets the road, just come try it.
Yeah. And I think it's nothing to do with being funny as well. I don't think it takes any talent to just show up, because you don't have to do anything else but get there and you made it. You don't have to be the funniest person, because we have a few funny kids, but we also have some not funny kids. If you're loud and have a good time, we need you for these kids. If you're more lean back and you like reading books, we have those kids too. we have all kinds of kids that have different interests. So whatever you feel like, man, this qualifies me, I would say no, it actually qualifies you even more for a certain group of kids. And we need everybody. We can't just have a bunch of loud people like me going around all the time. That's not how it's going to work. We need everybody on board. And whatever they have, I think everybody's story can be part of helping somebody else get better and chase their God-given dream.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned reading. There's a guy that volunteers with you, Rick.
Yes.
Can you kind of just share?
Yeah, we love Mr. Rick. He's a retired man who came to us and said, man, I have a passion for helping kids read better. I had a struggle growing up. I wasn't the best reader. I had to teach myself a lot of skills on that, but I want to help somebody. So he came faithfully 4 days a week. He didn't even come on a fun day Friday. That was too much fun. He only came on the days it was reading time. All right, so he showed up every day, and he would sit down with the same kid and help them read. That kid was 2 grades behind on reading. Now, on this Christmas Mall, a month ago, his mom came to us and she wanted to meet Mr. Rick and thank him for helping Kiwi read better. But not also that, but now Kiwi is actually volunteering in his classroom to read now. Beforehand, he was ashamed because he couldn't even read on the grade level. Now he wants to be the guy to read all the time. So seeing him show up consistently and encouraging this kid to read, and now seeing the result of it where he's on grade level, but not just that, he wants to do even more than that. He wants to excel better than grade level. He wants to be reading in front of his own peers, which is a huge success. So that's been kind of just a testimony to just showing up. And, reading, we can all help people read. We can help, if you have a passion for something else, we need you. And I think when you just show up, like we said, just give it a try and keep showing up, you'll be surprised how much change you can make.
Well, I mean, and like you said earlier, just throwing a football.
Yeah.
Shooting some baskets with a kid. Or, I mean, there's a girl, Haley was mentioning to me, just makeup and nails or just hanging out and being there for them.
It's very simple. I think it's definitely one of the stereotypes that we're trying to get rid of is people think that you have to have a certain skill set or certain interests to come, but we need everybody. Like I'm a soccer player. I don't do the whole pigskin thing or whatever y'all do with the football or the basketball. I'm getting used to it. But, like whatever you're interested in, come hang out. We have people that want to play soccer. We have people that, love getting their nails done or just play with somebody's hair or I don't know what else people do. But whatever you like doing, we'll probably have somebody that likes that the same like you do. And you can hang out with that kid and have a good time.
So what's the best way for someone that listens to this and says, hey, I want to get involved? What's their next step?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be very simple. Just they can go on our website and just on our ardreamcenter.tv website, and there's a serve button, and that's as simple as it is. Just show up there, serve, and then actually we have a calendar there for you to pick out what works best for their calendar. We know we're all busy. We all have a lot of things going on, but we have a great calendar that shows you all the different options on different time frames, different things that you can get involved with. And we would just encourage a person to just show up. Don't let anything scare you away. Just show up once, and we're going to connect with you and talk to you and figure out maybe the first one wasn't the best fit. Okay, that's fine. Crawfish out, and we'll find something else that might be better fit for you. And then we just love people getting them connected with what they're passionate about. And maybe if we don't offer it, we want to help that person find it somewhere else because we want to see every Arkansan chase a God-given dream, no matter what that takes for us. But I think we have a place for people to come and hang out. So I would just tell them to go on the website and just show up, and we'll take it from there.
Well, thank you very much today, Marius, for spending some time. And thank you for just kind of sharing your story about how this perfect little German life and going to be an engineer.
I don't know about perfect.
Going to be an engineer can just be led by God and just see the heartbreak in this world and say, okay, I can do something.
Yeah.
And just take those little baby steps.
Yeah.
And end up marching across the entire country. But just say, okay, God, here I am, use me. So thank you very much for
Thanks
that.
for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Every Arkansan podcast. Marius is a great friend and amazing man. And I hope you realize that sometimes when you start on a voyage, you don't know where it's going to end up. Marius, in his case, he was just committing to just a summer in New York City, and it changed the course of his life. So when you get an opportunity to step out there and just take that little baby step, I hope you know that God's got something really in store for you, and He's probably leading you down a path of chasing after your God-given dream.